All of our data continue to show that Americans want Congress to pass the compromise on tax cuts that was reached by President Obama and the Republican leaders in Congress. We've asked about it a couple of different ways. We asked simply, do you want a law passed? Would you favor a law that kept the tax cuts in place from the Bush era for 2 more months and also extended unemployment? We found 66% approval. Then most recently, we simply asked, do you favor Congress passing the deal, the compromise, the agreement between President Obama and the Republican leaders? Although there's a big don't know component in general, we find a 17% agreement over disagreement with Congress passing it. And in fact, when we filter just for those Americans that are paying attention, that are closely following all the news about the tax cut, support for Congress passing it jumps all the way up to 60%. Our polls, other polls, all continue to show that when you give Americans a choice, they favor passage of this compromise that includes extending the Bush-era tax cuts for 2 more years for all Americans. I should point out that if you ask separately Americans about tax cuts for the wealthy, a lot of discussion about that, we do have a tilt in favor of, if Americans had their druthers, so to speak, not extending the tax cuts for the wealthy, but only for the middle class and below. But given that Americans don't have a choice, and if it comes down to it, the public is saying pass the tax cuts for everybody for 2 more years rather than doing nothing and letting the tax cuts expire at the end of the year. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Gallup's editor-in-chief.